Lux Æterna is a film by controversial film director Gaspar Noe, which acts as a meta-commentary on the creative processes of filmmaking and of Noe's own films, acting as a big send-off to the end of his era of hyper-aggressive filmmaking before moving on to the much more somber and slower-paced Vortex. Regardless of the pace though, Vortex is still a Gaspar Noe film, and you can see this in the editing techniques which he first implemented in this film. Lux Æterna is a highly stylized film which uses many editing techniques to create a sense of anxiety and thrill in the viewer, which, as Gaspar Noe would say, can only be found through psychedelics and near-death experiences. The film stars actress Beatriz Dahl as a film director who is losing control of her set, as forces try to move her out of her own film. Her co-star being Charlotte Gainsbourg, who works as an actress on the set of the film. And what makes the film so meta is that they are both in fact playing themselves, as is everybody else on the film. And in order to show off the editing techniques of this film, I ironically enough decided to choose one of the more calmer scenes in the film. Before I can start talking about the scene, I must first point out the most obvious editing technique used in the film, that being its unique presentation. The film is presented in a unique aspect ratio that cuts off the corners to give a rounded presentation. This makes the film appear to be more small and cramped than it really is, thus making the viewer feel more anxious as they are both boxed in and not allowed to get a full view of what is truly happening. In this scene, Charlotte Gainsbourg has just received a call from her daughter appearing to be in distress. Charlotte Gainsbourg then frantically tries to reach her nanny to see if her daughter is okay, before being interrupted.
Non, non. Je vous rappelle dans 10 minutes. D'accord? Et vous regardez.
Ouais, on
ok?
arrive.
Merci. À tout de suite.
Désolée. C'est pas là.
In the cut that we just saw, Noe uses spatial editing to create a rushed feeling as Charlotte Gainsbourg quickly goes from one part of the set to another without us seeing her actually walk there.
Sorry, I am so lost in this production. I don't understand what anybody is saying. Beatrice is just yelling in French, and I'm not... Sorry, I just... Is there anything you can...
Attends, va là. Je suis pas là.
I'm not sure I can...
Okay. We can talk in just 2 seconds.
And then in this scene, Gaspar Noe uses the editing technique of split screen to give us two different perspectives on the film. On the left side, the camera doesn't exist in the film, while the camera on the right is a real physical camera being held by a member on the set. This helps create a unique dynamic between the two shots, as they both show you unique perspectives that wouldn't be achievable from each camera.
Allez, Charlotte. Tous mes micros sont là. Calme.
Fais attention, s'il te plaît.
Je te sens triste, il y a quelque chose qui va pas?
Oui, ça va pas. Et je crois qu'il va falloir que je rentre.
Moi, je vais te mettre le micro.
À cause du tournage?
Non, pas à cause du tournage, mais j'ai...
Eh, tu vois pas qu'on est en train de parler,
pour
toi?
2 secondes.
Non,
Juste,
non, 2 minutes. On t'a dit 2 minutes, attends 2 minutes, d'accord?
Putain,
Mais arrêtez, vous voyez pas qu'on est en train de parler?
Félix m'a demandé
mais
de...
t'es sur moi toutes les 2 minutes.
Mais c'est jamais le temps.
Bordel! J'ai besoin de passer un coup de fil.
Vas-y, ma chérie, prends
Ok.
tout le temps qu'il te faut.
Merci.
Mais toi, sérieux, tu bosses pour qui? Pour eux? Voici! Viens là!
Fun fact, the man operating the camera is actually typographer and frequent Noe collaborator Tom Kahn. He is responsible for making the typography in the iconic Enter the Void intro.
Oui, c'est Charlotte. Bon, ça sert à rien de me laisser un message, mais vous pouvez me rappeler. Rappelez-moi au plus vite. Je suis inquiète. Donc, même laissez-moi un message. Laissez-moi un message même pour me dire ce que vous avez vu. Et surtout, dites-lui. Je vais rappeler d'ici 15-20 minutes. Dites-lui que j'arrive au plus vite.
This part of the scene is a great example of audio editing. The film uses various sounds from non-diegetic music to the sound of thunder and the voice of the director talking to slowly drown out Charlotte Gainsbourg's voice as she is talking on the phone. Once again, this helps bring across a feeling of anxiety to the viewer as Charlotte Gainsbourg tries to contact her nanny to figure out if her daughter is okay. With all the sounds drowning out the conversation, Charlotte is unable to figure out if her daughter is safe or not. Here, the film uses graphic editing, once again, to create a stylized look for the film, using a very specific font and background to create a sense of something grandiose. And it also acts as a foreshadowing to what will happen in the final scene. And so, finally, we reach the end of the sequence. Charlotte Gainsbourg is finally reaching her position on the set. And as somebody who has worked on sets before, I understand how stressful it can be to set up pre-production and to finally get things rolling. And so, in this final sequence, we see all of the editing techniques in full effect, from the split screen to the auditory editing that so effectively gets across the stress of creating films. And with these unique editing techniques, Gaspar Noe creates, frankly, a unabashed masterpiece, which is unafraid to attack the viewer and put them in uncomfortable situations. And so, much like the film, which acts as a video essay by Gaspar Noe, I too must end my video essay on a bang.